Germany. Land of beer, sausages, and a real love for cars. Cars aren't just things that get you around. They're a source of national pride, great engineering, and a strong economy. So, when a new car company comes along saying it's going to change everything, you'd think Germans would at least, check it out. But with Tesla, something went very wrong. How wrong? A whopping 94% of Germans wouldn't even think about buying a Tesla. Let that sink in. 94%. That's not just saying no. It's a big, loud no way. Imagine serving the wrong food at a big festival and having 94% of the people spit it back at you. That's how much Germans dislike Tesla. This wasn't always the case. Tesla used to be the cool new thing, the electric car everyone wanted, promising a cleaner, faster future. But like a cheap phone, the excitement wore off, revealing a battery that dies too quickly and software updates that cause more problems than they solve. And the worst part? While Tesla is struggling, German car companies are doing great. Sales of electric cars are going up, with companies like Volkswagen and BMW leading the way. So it's not that Germans don't like electric cars, they just don't like Tesla. The question is, why? To understand Tesla's problems in Germany, you have to understand the man in charge, Elon Musk. Once seen as a genius, like a real-life superhero bringing us a greener future, Musk is now seen as Tesla's biggest problem. His strange behavior, which people used to think was just quirky, now seems reckless and maybe even desperate. It's hard to say exactly when things changed. Maybe it was his weird Twitter posts where he attacked people and made promises he couldn't keep. Or maybe it was his bad decision to get involved in German politics, siding with the far-right AfD party. Whatever the reason, the result is clear. Elon Musk is not popular in Germany. In a country where respect, stability, and social responsibility are important, Musk's strange behavior and divisive politics are not welcome. He's become everything Germans don't trust: unpredictable, loud, and seemingly more focused on himself than on his workers or the planet. And it's not just in Germany. Across Europe, Musk's popularity is fading fast. His words, once admired, are now met with doubt, and often just laughter. The man who promised to save the world is now seen by many as just another rich guy messing with the future. To really understand Tesla's problems in Germany, we have to look beyond Elon Musk and at a clash of values. Germans, and many Europeans, believe in certain things. Things like worker rights, protecting the environment, and working together for the common good. These aren't just ideas. They're part of how society works. Tesla, under Musk, hasn't respected these European values. Take labor unions, for example. In Sweden, Tesla's refusal to work with unions caused strikes that disrupted their business. Danish unions, angry about Tesla's anti-union stance, blocked deliveries, hurting Tesla's image even more. Being against unions might be okay in some places, but not in Europe. Unions here are important. They protect workers, ensure fair pay, and promote fairness. By fighting unions, Musk isn't just fighting workers. He's fighting a core part of what it means to be European. And it's not just about labor. Tesla's environmental record, while advertised as green, has also been questioned. While the company says its cars are good for the environment, Musk himself has been caught saying things that go against climate science and environmental policies. This hypocrisy is noticed in Europe, where caring about the environment is a big deal. Here's something confusing. Tesla, the company that says it's saving the planet, is led by a man who seems to be upsetting the people who care most about the environment. It's like watching someone who doesn't eat meat kill a cow while telling you it's wrong to eat meat. It doesn't make sense. Making electric cars is better for the planet than making gas-powered cars. But you can't just say something is green and be done with it. Customers, especially those who care about the environment, want to see real action, and that's where Musk keeps messing up. Whether it's questioning climate change, downplaying renewable energy, or supporting politicians who weaken environmental laws, Musk's actions are more important than Tesla's advertisements. This difference between Tesla's green image and Musk's actions has created a problem of trust. It's like finding out your healthy coffee is made using unfair labor. The product might be the same, but you don't trust the company anymore. And trust is very important. Remember those Danish funds we talked about? They didn't just stop Tesla deliveries, they sold all their Tesla stock. They decided they didn't want to invest in Tesla anymore, and they're not alone. Across Europe, big investors are worried about Tesla. It's not just about the falling sales or the bad press. It's a growing feeling that Tesla under Musk is not a safe or ethical investment. When big funds, the ones that manage people's retirement money, start selling your stock, you know you have a problem. These aren't people looking for a quick buck, they're managing people's savings, and they have to do what's best for their clients. So what does it mean when these careful investors decide to leave Tesla? It means something is wrong with Tesla and it's getting worse. The financial world can tell you a lot, and right now it's saying Tesla is in trouble.
It was 2 a.m., not exactly prime time for diplomacy, but then again, when has Donald Trump ever cared about that? As most Americans tossed and turned, battling insomnia, or maybe indigestion, Trump was busy. He was having a full-blown meltdown on Truth Social. His weapon of choice? Angry rambling tweets. His target? Our allies? Canada, the European Union, pretty much anyone within digital shouting distance. The message was clear: step out of line, and face killer tariffs. No negotiation, no nuance, just the raw, unfiltered rage of a man who seems to view global politics as a personal vendetta. This wasn't just your run-of-the-mill late-night Twitter rant. This was different. This felt unhinged. And terrifyingly, this was the leader of the free world, or at least he used to be. The world didn't wait long to respond. And yeah, it wasn't pretty. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, once a Trump ally, shot back with promises of retaliation. Imagine that. Canada, that bastion of politeness, pushed to the brink. Across the pond, the EU, the UK, and Canada announced a new trade alliance. The catch? America wasn't invited. It was a slap in the face, a clear message that the world was done playing nice. An EU trade advisor put it best: Trump was locked outside the living room, left to stew in his own tantrum. The message was clear. You want to play bully? Go ahead. But don't be surprised when the rest of the world decides they'd rather play without you. Meanwhile, back at home, things weren't exactly peachy. Remember that economic anxiety everyone was feeling? Turns out, Trump's late-night tirades weren't helping. In fact, they were making things a whole lot worse. Consumer confidence plummeted to a 15-year low. The cost of everything from rent to groceries was skyrocketing. Wages? Stagnant. It was the perfect storm, and the American people were caught in the middle. The American dream was starting to look more like a nightmare, and Trump's response: threaten our allies with tariffs. It was like he was actively trying to dismantle the very country he was supposed to be leading. But here's the thing about businesses. They really don't like uncertainty. They crave, stability, predictability. And Trump, well, he was about as predictable as a tornado in a wind farm. So what did they do? They took their business elsewhere. Tesla, Apple, GM, these giants of American industry, started shifting production to Canada and the European Union. They just couldn't afford to get caught in the crossfire of Trump's trade wars. The stock market reacted accordingly, share prices plummeted, investors, those cold-hearted bastions of logic, had seen enough. They knew a sinking ship when they saw one, and they weren't sticking around to drown with the captain. The world watched in a mix of horror and pity. America, once a beacon of hope, had basically become a cautionary tale. A case study in what happens when unchecked ego and impulsivity take the reins of power. The European Union, sensing weakness, announced a massive €800 billion defense program, Readiness 2030. The message? It was loud and clear. They no longer trusted America to protect them. They were getting ready for a future where they might just have to go it alone. And honestly, who could blame them? After all, this was the same America that, under Trump, had threatened to use kill switches to disable Allied weapons systems. The same America that seemed, well, hell-bent on alienating its friends and emboldening its enemies. So here's the question we really need to ask ourselves. Who actually holds the power? Is it the man sending out unhinged tweets at 2 a.m.? Or is it the rest of the world, quietly and decisively moving on without us? The world watched in disbelief. Donald Trump, a man who promised to make America great again, had instead shaken the very foundations of global security. His unorthodox approach to foreign policy, marked by impulsive decisions and a clear disdain for traditional alliances, left many world leaders questioning America's reliability as a defense partner. The message was clear: the old order was crumbling, and a new, more uncertain era was dawning. From the outset, Trump's America First rhetoric signaled a departure from decades of bipartisan consensus on the importance of international cooperation. He questioned the value of long-standing alliances, especially NATO, and often berated allies for not spending enough on their own defense. This rhetoric, combined with his unpredictable actions, really sowed seeds of doubt in the minds of America's closest partners. Could the United States still be trusted to uphold its commitments? For many, the answer was a resounding no. Trump's decision to withdraw from key international agreements like the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Accord, only deepened the erosion of trust in American leadership. His cozy relationships with authoritarian leaders, like Vladimir Putin of Russia and Kim Jong-un of North Korea, raised eyebrows and fueled concerns about America's commitment to democratic values. The world was witnessing a seismic shift in the global balance of power, and while the consequences were impossible to ignore. As the Trump presidency progressed, it became increasingly clear that his approach to defense policy wasn't just a break from the past, it was a radical reimagining of America's role in the world. This new vision, however, was one that many of America's allies found deeply unsettling. The old certainties were gone, replaced by a sense of unease and a growing realization that they could no longer rely on the United States to be the guarantor of global security. Denmark, a steadfast American ally since World War II, sent shockwaves through the international community when its defense chairman, Rasmus Jarlov, publicly declared that his country could no longer rely on the United States for its security. This unprecedented statement, something truly unthinkable just a few years earlier, highlighted the depth of the erosion of trust in American leadership under Trump. And Jarlov's declaration? It wasn't an isolated incident. Across Europe and beyond, long-standing U.S. allies were expressing similar concerns. Trump's erratic behavior, his open disdain for diplomacy, and his tendency to prioritize personal interests over strategic objectives had created a climate of uncertainty and mistrust. Allies began to seriously question whether the United States, once a beacon of stability and predictability, could still be counted on in times of crisis. Fueling these anxieties was a particularly troubling revelation: Trump's admission that the United States intentionally sold toned-down weapons to its allies. Speaking at a White House event, Trump casually remarked, "We like to tone them down about 10%, which probably makes sense, 'cause someday maybe they're not our allies, right?" This stunning admission sent chills down the spines of American allies, confirming their worst fears about Trump's transactional view of international relations. The implication was unmistakable. Under Trump, the United States was willing to prioritize its own narrow interests, even if it meant compromising the security of its closest partners. This revelation dealt a severe blow to America's reputation as a reliable ally and further accelerated the global trend toward defense diversification. The message from Washington was loud and clear. In an increasingly uncertain world, every nation was on its own. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, once celebrated as a symbol of American technological prowess and a cornerstone of NATO's air power, became an unexpected casualty of the Trump administration's defense policies. As trust in the United States waned, so too did the appeal of American-made weaponry. The F-35, despite all its advanced capabilities, was no longer seen as a guarantee of security, but rather a potential liability tied to an increasingly unreliable partner. Canada, a long-standing participant in the F-35 program, was among the first U.S. allies to publicly reconsider its commitment. Citing concerns about cost overruns, technical issues, and the Trump administration's unpredictable behavior, the Canadian government announced it was exploring alternative options for its fighter jet procurement. This decision, while it might have seemed practical on the surface, was widely seen as a symbolic rebuke of the United States, and honestly, a sign of things to come. Canada wasn't alone. Other NATO members, including Portugal and France, also began to express reservations about the F-35 program. The once unthinkable was happening. America's closest allies were actively seeking alternatives to American-made weapon systems. This shift away from U.S. defense products wasn't just a financial blow to the American defense industry, it was a strategic setback. It signaled a decline in military influence and a growing perception of American unreliability. The F-35 fallout served as a stark reminder of how deeply interconnected defense policy and international relations truly are. Trump's America First approach had, in effect, backfired, alienating allies and pushing them toward competitors. The global defense landscape was undergoing a profound transformation. And the United States, once the dominant player, was increasingly being relegated to the sidelines. In 2018, Donald Trump kicked off a trade war. 25% tariffs on steel, 10% on aluminum. His America First policy aimed to protect U.S. industries, but it ruffled more than feathers. It strained ties with allies, especially the European Union. Fast forward to April 2025, the EU's had enough. They've hit back with a $27 billion retaliation package. Not just numbers. This targets U.S. motorcycles, wine, poultry, tech, even dental floss. Yeah, floss. 3 waves of tariffs are coming, April, May, and December. Why now? Because the U.S. just expanded its tariffs, 20% on nearly all EU goods. So the EU is flexing its economic muscle, sending a message. We're not here to be pushed around. Washington's not taking it lightly. Officials warn inflation could rise, consumers and factories could take a hit. Agriculture in particular is already hurting. Soybean prices are falling fast. Then there's the EV market. Tariffs mean higher car prices. Tesla, it's facing rising costs, and competitors like Volkswagen and BYD are undercutting them. The trade war might be shaping up to be bad news for green tech in the US inside the EU. Not everyone's thrilled. Germany's worried about car exports. France fears economic slowdown. But EU leaders are standing firm. Unity is strength. So is this retaliation protecting Europe's long-term interests, or is it a dangerous escalation that'll hurt everyone? Only time will tell. Stay tuned.